Clarissa Shields, what an absolute superstar. When she comes out and fights, she fills up arenas time and time again. She's doing it on her own, despite all the hate. You know, she's doing her thing. She's doing it. It's like the hate is even magnifying her profile. It's absolutely magnifying her profile. Plus, all the stars come out when she fights. All the other greats, you know, make it an occasion to come out to support her. Floyd Mayweather was there, Terence Bud Crawford was there. I'm talking about other GOATs. Crawford, Floyd, Shakur, not a GOAT yet. I don't know whether he would even get there with the type of attitude that he has, where he doesn't want to fight nobody. But he was there, plus many more names were there. So Clarissa, man, put some respect on her name.
Yes, fight fans, body and mind sports, my people, you are fully appreciated in this round, my guys, my people. So let's get right into it. Let's talk Clarissa Shields, who is an absolute superstar. She defeated Kay Scott this past weekend at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. Stopped her in the 6th round with a left hook. In fact, they both threw left hooks, but Clarissa's one got there first. And when he touched her, Kay did have a delayed reaction before she stumbled on the ropes and slumped on the ropes. Great call for the referee to stop the fight, and the corner threw in all the towels that they could find in the arena. Basically, there was way more than one towel in there. At least 4 towels thrown in to stop the fight. Crazy. But great win by Clarissa Shields, not only selling out and showing that she's an absolute superstar, but the stoppage was unexpected, because she's not a big hitter. She's really not a big hitter. As elite as she is, she only has a record 18 wins, no losses, no draws, 4 via KO. Even worse was her opposition, who was 42 years old, has a record 5 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, and 1 coming via KO. Kay Scott. And Clarissa Shields treated her absolutely as if she wasn't on her level, just like she was supposed to, right? But I tell you what, in terms of being a superstar, this is not the first show that Clarissa Shields has sold out. Pardon me, people. It's not the first show that she sold out. She sells out her hometown of Michigan, Detroit regularly, and I'm talking about in sorry, people. I'm talking about in 15,000 capacity arenas, right? If I'm to compare it to anyone, I can't really make a comparison. I can't really make an accurate comparison, but Katie Taylor is also another star. She's also another star. She sold out Croke Park in like 24 hours, and that has a capacity of 80,000. A capacity of 80,000. Croke Park in Ireland, Dublin. Amanda Serrano, I don't think she's arrived at that superstardom status yet. However, with a decent dance partner, she can do numbers, just like she did with Katie Taylor in their trilogies, right? You know, yeah. However, though, when you're talking about who is the GOAT of the sports, I would say Clarissa Shields. Others might say Amanda Serrano, and then yet again we might have others that would say Katie Taylor. But consider this, right? Katie Taylor is soon 40. She's having her last fight September 5th before she bows out of the sport of boxing. Alright? Amanda Serrano, 37, 38 years old. Not long before she bows out of boxing. Only God knows how long she wishes to continue for. But Clarissa Shields, she doesn't have such problems. She's only 31 years old. She still has many years left. She still has many years left. You know, if she wants to carry on. If she wants to pile on top of what she's achieved already, which is incredible already. You know, that she is a 4-division undisputed champion. Where through her journey in her career, she's managed to scale 21 pounds in total. 21 pounds in total. Winning 21 championships. Incredible. That is from 154 all the way to 175, which is the heavyweight limit. And she was looking around at heavyweight for good competition. She couldn't find any, and that's why she had to come back down to 160, where they say all the talents for women's boxing is in the lower divisions, because women's boxing is atrocious when it comes to the higher divisions. I ain't going to lie, you know. Or is it just Clarissa Shields who just looks exceptional and head and shoulders above everybody else? Because let's say, for instance, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor both fought at, not each other, but competed in the weight classes that Clarissa Shields has competed in. Would they have the same dominance as Clarissa Shields had? Would they have gone on to be a dominating force as Clarissa Shields has? That's a fair question. That is a fair question. Well, anyway, I don't think there's any clear answer to that. But Clarissa Shields, yes, she's back at 160, and she got the WBA and WBC straps from Kay Scott. How she got those, only God knows. How Kay Scott got those straps, only God knows. But listen, Clarissa Shields, she can make better use of those straps, because she wants to invite Lauren Price up into the division for a fight, an opportunity to go against the GOAT, an opportunity to beat the GOAT, and an opportunity to become a 2-division champion. Lauren Price, who is a unified champion in the welterweight division, however, she has fought in the amateurs at 160. So if she wants the Clarissa fight, you better jump up, Lauren. You better jump up. That said, though, I would prefer the winner of Chantel Cameron and Michaela Mayer to go up against Clarissa Shields, if I'm honest. Yeah, that would be a wonderful fight. You know, Shields and Michaela Mayer, who do have history as friends in the amateurs. How intact that is now, that friendship, I don't know, but it will still be a great fight. But I would prefer Chantal Cameron versus Shields, though, because Chantal is the only person to have beaten Katie Taylor. You see what I'm getting at? So, yeah, whichever one comes, though, I say let's get it. The Lauren Price fight, I do like it, but I don't know. Is Lauren ready now? Is she ready now? You know, I do prefer the other two, in all honesty. Now, with that said, hats off to Clarissa Shields, absolute superstar, and you know, she shuts up all the haters, all the trolls online, all the boxing media that have been talking nonsense about her. Even though she's not the best thing. She's not the best thing since sliced bread. She's not the best thing since sliced bread in terms of her character and personality. But hey, the world is full of hypocrites, man. There are people out there who have done way worse and are chucking stones at Clarissa Shields. So, yeah, I hope she keeps winning. I just hope she keeps winning, which I believe she will be. Now, with that said, let's move on. Let's talk Osley Iglesias, the IBF champion at 168 pounds. And this is men's boxing now, by the way. Iglesias, who got elevated after Crawford vacated his undisputed straps, and so he's making his first defense against Danish fighter Oliver Zarin. Don't know much about him except that he has a record 19 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 8 via KO, and he's a southpaw. He is a southpaw. But Iglesias is very, very tall, big for the division. Packs power, has a record 15 wins, no losses, 14 via KO. Not only is he a top contender, he is very well feared by other top contenders in the division. So Iglesias, Zarin, they fight on the 8th of October in Quebec City, Canada. And if you are anywhere outside the province of Quebec in Canada, then you'll be watching this fight on the zone, my guys. My people, I say, let's get it. Even though I would have preferred maybe a unification between Hamza Sheeraz, the WBO champion, and Iglesias. That would have been a great fight. But no. No. The WBO don't want that. How about Hamza Sheeraz versus Yuneli Hernandez? But no, the WBO don't want that. Instead, the WBO want Hamza Sheeraz to defend his championship against PED violator Janibek Alimkanali, who we can now maybe safely say he is the former WBO IBF champion at 160 pounds. Alright. Now, he lost his IBF strap due to his PED violation in December of last year, ahead of his fight, or should I say ahead of his unification bout against WBA champion Erislandy Lara. So the IBF stripped him. However, the WBO said you can hold on to our belt, but we're gonna suspend you until December. We're gonna suspend you until December. We ain't even reached December yet, and already the WBO has done a U-turn. Not only have they terminated the suspension, but they've allowed Janibek to go up one division and to fight for a title straight away, to fight for their title straight away against Hamza Sheeraz. This is just absolutely awful, man. How does this happen? That said, though, Sheeraz himself had an easy path to the title, getting that vacant title after defeating Alim Bergic, which turned out to be a run out. And you know, his defense, his first defense against Zerkahaba, we thought was going to be a run out as well, but pleasantly, it was a pleasant surprise. You know, Zerkahaba turned out to be healthy competition. Or maybe Hamza Sheeraz just didn't look great on the night. Maybe he just didn't look great on the night. Right? So, maybe it just wasn't his night. You know, but, yeah, time to make a stiff defense, but not against Janibek, man. Not against Janibek. Janibek should be banned permanently from the sport of boxing. You know, am I being extreme? Maybe. I've not really had time to think deeply into it. But how I feel right now, he should be banned permanently. But what has the WBO, you know, what is their excuse for allowing this opportunity to fall on Janibek? Well, basically, they have said that Janibek, he cooperated with all the investigations that had to be run, you know, and it's his first offense. It's his first offense, basically. It's your first offense. Slap on the wrist. Ridiculous. At least they should have allowed him to ride out the 1 year. At least, at the very, very least. This ain't punishment. This is winning. The cheats are winning. And this is not an easy fight for Hamza Sheeraz by any means. You know, and should he beat Sheeraz, he becomes a 2 division champion. Plus, his commercial value just elevates. Elevates. He's 33 years old, so I don't think he's gonna take step aside from Sheeraz. I don't think he's gonna take step aside. I will the WBO take an appeal for an exemption? I don't know. I don't know. The other option is for Sheeraz to vacate, which I would not advocate. Which I would not advocate. You know, or maybe vacate, man. Let the WBO and their cheats sit with their title. But listen, man, he's gonna go on to fight other people. That would be like letting him win, isn't it? So yeah, I don't advocate that he vacates. I really don't advocate that Sheeraz should vacate. Anyway, let's see what comes off this. It's not right. It's just not right. Not right at all. But we have to move on. We have to move on. Let's talk Dmitry Bivol. So it's very, very highly unlikely that Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev trilogy in Russia does not happen. That is according to Umar Kremlev. But they say they are still working on it. They're still working on it, hoping that the fight can still happen at some point. What a point that is. Anyway, Dmitry Bivol, right? Dmitry Bivol, as we know, in 2025, I think it was around April or May of 2025, right? He vacated his championship, his WBC championship at light heavyweight. He vacated it to David Benavidez. You know, his mandatory. You know, and so Bivol was no longer undisputed, and he was left with the WBA, the WBC, and the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF straps. And he was supposed to go into the trilogy with Artur Beterbiev as soon as he vacated to David Benavidez, but again that was stalled, you know, because Bivol, he sustained a back injury, and then what followed up was back surgery, and then in his return he fought Michael Eifer, his IBF mandatory. So that was his last fight. That was in May, I believe. Yeah, that was in May of this year. So he fought Michael Eifer, his IBF mandatory, in May. Alright, and now instead of taking the trilogy with Beterbiev, he's opting to fight Callum Smith instead. Even though Kremlev and the IBA are offering 2 times more than what Bivol has ever received in any of his fights. You know, so he stands to earn at least 20 million. But he doesn't want it. He's turning it down. He doesn't want it. So they've decided that they are going to find another opposition for Beterbiev for the time being. But Beterbiev is 41 years old. Time is not waiting. Father Time is not waiting. And like I told you from day one, they are going to age him out. Now, if he's not going to fight Beterbiev at light heavyweight, why not David Benavidez, the WBC champion? Why not make undisputed with him? So maybe we could say he ducked him again, you know, because Benavidez did say that he was willing to come down to light heavyweight from cruiserweight after he moved up to cruiserweight to fight Zola Ramirez and claim Ramirez's WBA and WBO straps in that division. He was saying he was willing to come back down to light heavyweight to fight Dmitry Bivol, you know, but all the talk of this Beterbiev trilogy, now it's not happening. Now it is not happening. So Couldn't he have fought David Benavidez? Who knows? Who knows? You know, so yeah, I guess it's gonna be Callum Smith versus Bivol then. I guess it's gonna be Callum Smith versus Bivol. As for David Benavidez, his next fight was supposed to be at cruiserweight against the WBC champion Noel McCallion, who the WBC forced that fight on McCallion, actually giving him an ultimatum that if you don't fight Benavidez as your mandatory, you will be stripped of the title. And they all, and I mean, the only reason why they opted to do this was because Noel McCallion was in talks to fight Zuffa cruiserweight champion and former IBF cruiserweight champion Jai Patel, who got stripped of his IBF strap for becoming a Zuffa champion. For becoming a Zuffa champion, for taking part in that bout, which was unsanctioned. Crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff. So, they pulled Noel McCallion away from that fight and thrusted him upon David Benavidez, who, by the way, it's not even McCallion's mandatory. McCallion's mandatory is actually Mikhail Sislak. Look, it gets even worse. McCallion is due a voluntary defense before a mandatory. So he could have fought Jai Patel, right? But the WBC say his window, his 6 months window to have a voluntary is done. So he has he had to fight David Benavidez or be stripped. Or be stripped. Well, he is going to be stripped. He is going to be stripped. He's chosen the money over the belt. And he is going to be fighting Jai Patel in the undercard of Teofimo Lopez versus actually in the undercard of Ryan Garcia versus Conor Ben. That's the plan now. And Jai Patel, he says basically he gives credit to Noel McCallion for stepping up, but then he says stop running, David Benavidez, stop running. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, by the way. Stop running, you know. But listen, talking about running, all right, not necessarily running, but can David Benavidez ever make it down to light heavyweight to fight Bivol? That's the fight that I would want at light heavyweight for David Benavidez, or even at cruiser. Give us the Jai fight, man, and stop getting involved in these sanctioning body wars with Zuffa. That's how you know that David Benavidez is like this. He is like this with the WBC for sure, for sure. All right, and as we speak, he's also Dimitri Bivol's WBA mandatory at light heavyweight. So he holds titles at light heavyweight with the WBC and is the WBA mandatory. And then at cruiser, he holds the WBA and WBO straps. They are looking desperately to make him undisputed in even one of those weight classes. But let's say Dimitri Bivol is to vacate. Does that mean they elevate him? And after Dimitri Bivol fights Callum Smith, right, does he wish to, you know, honor another mandatory via the WBA and fight David Benavidez? Interesting, right? But very, very weird as well, because as a champion, David Benavidez is not supposed to be a mandatory challenger. How is a champion a mandatory challenger? Crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. The world of boxing is just very, very strange. Very, very strange. But I'm going to leave it there. And call it a night on this one. Before you leave, though, do you like, do you share, subscribe? Of course, drop your comments below, my people, and as always, stay super blessed, and let's catch up on the next one. Stay blessed, my guys, my people, and we out of here. Stay blessed.